Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. Please feel free to tell us where you are listening from. So, there is a message that I received, and this is the translation of that message that I received. The translation reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story? Is it an identity? My name, well, you can call me Nomsa, not her own name. I am a 46-year-old woman who is Zimbabwean with 5 kids from 3 different fathers. I had my first child when I was still in high school. Then I had my other 2 kids with a man that I got married to. I can say that when I got married to that man, that was when my life took sort of like a wrong turn, because that was my chance in marriage. But unfortunately, the man that I got married to, he was someone who was not looking for a permanent relationship with commitment. It seemed as if he just got married to me because I had fallen pregnant for him. And my parents, they were complaining because I was 17 years. And my first child that I had when I was still in high school was still about a year and a half. So he panicked and he thought that maybe my parents were going to get him arrested. And when we started staying together as husband and wife, so when we were staying together, it was your usual beatings. He was always drunk. He would come back home late, and when I would ask him or anything, it was straight up beatings. After the beatings, I just grew tired of everything, and I said that maybe this is time for me to pick up my things and leave. And at that time, I was still staying in the villages, deep in the villages. So I spoke with one of my auntie, who is my father's sister. She was already based in Harare. And then we spoke, and she said that since I wanted a job, it was very difficult for me to say, please find a job for me, whilst I was still staying in the rural areas. If I wanted a job, she said, I was supposed to travel to Harare from the villages, in which that was what I did. This was after me and my husband had fought. And then I spoke with my auntie and I said, I cannot take it anymore. I can't. This man keeps on beating me. Then my auntie asked me how much I had, and I said, I don't have any money. And she said, steal some money from him. I waited until he was drunk. I then opened up his wallet and I found out that there was some money, but I did not take a lot from his wallet, just a little bit. That is all that I took. And then that was when I traveled from the village going to Harare. I moved to Harare and I started staying with my auntie until I managed to get a job. When I got a job, the man that I got married to, at first, there was no chemistry at all whatsoever. It was just your mutual understanding and respect. And when I started falling in love with him, when a man has money, there is some things that can just make you feel attracted to that man. I started to admire my boss. So I was working as the receptionist. Whenever he would be walking around, I would be fantasizing late at night, being in my bed, thinking about what were the possibilities if it was ever going to happen that maybe me and my boss were ever to sleep together. And that idea totally hurt me, because it was crazy, but I could not stop myself from fantasizing about him. And when you are in love with a man that does not even know that you are in love with him, it just increases that excitement. I used to do a lot of things for him, wanting him to notice me, until the day that he finally noticed me. And then he started telling me about all the problems that he was having at home. Apparently, the wife, since she was too comfortable, women, those women that are married to men that have money, those women, they somehow forget the reasons as to why they got married in the first place. So he was like, even if I want to touch her, she will just complain, and there was no longer any excitement in his marriage. So I was there to excite him, and that I was willing to do. We started dating each other, making sure that we can never get caught. In the beginning of our relationship, the understanding that we had was that we were not supposed to communicate on the phone no matter what. We were never supposed to go out together. We could only be with each other at work, and it was just your 2 to 5 minutes enjoying love. I would delay until everyone would have left. My boss will be busy with his meetings. Then we would see each other, sleep in his office, maybe for only about 5 minutes. Then I would go home and he would lock the office, and he would also go to be with his wife. But with time, when you are falling in love with each other, you start to take chances, you start to risk, such that there were times when I would even call him in the middle of the night, knowing that I was missing him. And whenever I would call him, he would be mad at me. He would drop the calls, and I would keep on calling, wanting to speak with him, until he would have gone to the toilet and swear at me and tell me not to keep on calling him. And he reminded me that our love was nothing but a secret love. And when love is secret love, it becomes so exciting. You think that even when the wife is no longer there, that the wife will be the one that will be blocking your freedom, and you will enjoy when she is no longer in the picture. You never see any problems in advance as such. You think that it is always going to be paradise, sneaking around, kissing each other, making love just in a nice way. And you do not expect that the moment that you start to stay under one roof, that is when your character is going to come out, and his character as well is going to come out. So he then said, if you had a car, sometimes we could make a plan, then we can plan our weekend getaways, because we used to go out of town where we would meet each other. So it was very difficult because we could not travel together in his car. That was when my boss bought a car for me. My advice to men out there, if your wife is working and all of a sudden she comes and she tells you that this is what my boss has bought for me, especially if they are material items like your cars and things like that, it is not just normal for a man to buy a woman a car without that man expecting anything in return. Already I had another fool that I was dating. I did not even love that fool. So this guy, he questioned me the moment that he saw that I was driving a brand new car. He was like, why did your boss buy a car for you? And he got angry, and I got angry, and I told him that I did not love him anymore. So we fought really hard, and then we broke up. That man, he loved me with all of his heart. And after we had broken apart, to tell you the truth, Brother Nashi, I have seen it all. I have seen that even some of my friends that are married, that are working in the corporate environment, they do sleep around with their bosses, such that when I finally got married to my husband, who was my boss one time, I did limit the number of staff that are women in the office, for I know how it can start. This is how I got married to my husband in the first place. I was just a receptionist, so I do not want another receptionist or a secretary or whatever to come and replace me. And to tell you the truth, most women that do cheat, they are these women that are educated, that work in office spaces. They can cheat those women for years and years with their colleagues. That is the experience that I had in real time. So I am wise. So me and my boss, we would meet. Usually we would go for our weekend getaways to places that were nice, book ourselves there, and then return back after the weekend. Instead of me being thankful that this man was taking care of me, taking care of my mother, he was already taking one of my youngest brother to school, who was doing his O-level at that time. Instead of me being thankful of what the man was doing for me, I found myself wanting more and more. And when I say that I wanted more, I wanted the wife totally out of the picture. Instead of just being humble, knowing that I'm just the girlfriend, I wanted to become the main woman. I worked so hard to fall pregnant for my boss, even though he had said that he did not want me to fall pregnant at all, to show you that he did not want me to to fall pregnant, he would make sure that each and every time that we would sleep together, we had to use protection. I had lied to him that I was taking family planning, and I used to go to the clinic to get this family planning that is called DEPO, and this was making me to be so sick whenever I was on my period, and this was nothing but a lie. So he said, you know what, babe, if that is what is making you sick all the times, it is fine. Do not take that injection or any family planning pill. What we need to do is that let us be careful and make sure that we keep on using these condoms whenever we are making love. And what I started doing was that during foreplay, I'll be holding the condom in one hand, kissing him and touching him. I am someone who always have long nails, so I would pinch the condom so hard, and when I will be making him to wear that condom, I would make sure that you would not notice that I would have teared that protector just a little bit. And when we will be making love, I will start to scream and I would wait until I see that he is now enjoying, and then I will tell him to do me really hard, because I would lie to him that that was what I enjoyed the most about him. I was just lying to him, and then when he will start to do it, it will break, and then he would leave his semen inside my body. Then I'll start to cry. The moment that he would have deposited his semen in my body, then I would cry so hard, pretending as if he was the one who was forcing me. I did this constantly until one day when I was at work, there was this other colleague who had gone out and had gone to buy a cool drink and a pie. So when he came back, busy eating the pie, then the smell of that pie, it made me want to vomit, and I vomited, and I knew that I was pregnant. I had rushed to the bathroom and I was happy, like really, really happy, for I had waited for a very long time for this to happen to me. I could not even believe that the man that I loved with all of my heart, such a wealthy man, had impregnated me. So to make sure that I was going to keep this pregnancy safe, not wanting him to force me to have an abortion, I did not tell my future husband until when I was 3 months pregnant. That was when I said, honey, I am pregnant. He said, I was not expecting that you will fall pregnant. What happened? And I said, what happened? What do you mean when you say what happened? You know what you used to do, and that is what happened. How many times did I tell you when you were on top of me, doing it too hard, telling you that this thing that you are doing to me, you are going to break the condom, but you kept on doing it hard. These are the results. I was now manipulating him, yet I was the one who used to tell him that I enjoy rough sex. He apologized and he said, so what are you going to do? Because you cannot keep the baby. And I said, excuse me, the hell yes, I am going to keep this pregnancy. We were mad at each other, we insulted each other until said, okay, it's fine, you can keep the baby. To show you that there are so many secrets that do happen in the office space, such that I can never trust another woman to work with my husband. The wife, the late wife to my husband, she would come to the office and she would see that the receptionist I was pregnant, and she did not even suspect a thing. She did not even know that I was pregnant for her husband. So I then gave birth, Brother Nashi, and when I was pregnant, and then that was when he started renting out for me. So I was still working for him, Brother Nashi, and then that was when my husband said to me, you know what, I really want to spend some time with you. So what I'm going to do is that in the villages from where the wife came from in Mutoko, she wanted to start some projects in the village. So the husband then gave her some money so that she was always on the road traveling between Harare and Mutoko, checking up on her workers there. So he was able now to spend a lot of time with me. So we started sleeping together when my baby was still breastfeeding. And then this man He had rented a 2-bedroomed apartment for me. He was free to come whenever he wanted to. And then I found out that I had fallen pregnant again. When I was pregnant the second time, I sat down and I said, no, I have to become his wife as well. One day, when he had came to my house, I then asked him what were his plans, and maybe if he had agreed, the wife will still be alive. But he was very stubborn, because as for the wife, she was someone who was cool. She was okay with me. I'm sure that she had truly accepted me in her heart by the time that she confronted me when she found out that I was pregnant for her husband. She just came to the office and she was like, so you are pregnant for my husband. What are your plans? And I said, I don't know. I have to wait for your husband, since he is the one who has impregnated me. She did not fight with me like she was, a classy woman. And when we started communicating, me and my husband's late wife, my husband became the problem, because what he will do is that he was gossiping. He would go to the wife and he will say a lot of bad stuff and come back to me. During the night when we were together, I said to him, Baba Ngana, meaning father of my child, what do you mean when you say that? What am I planning? What are you planning? What are your plans that you have for me? Because you are the one that impregnated me. This is the second child that we are going to have together. When are we going to stop playing this cat and mouse game? I am tired. When you are with me, you leave your phone in the car, and sometimes you leave me soon after sleeping with me only one round. Then you are suddenly in a rush. You need to return back to your wife. Then I will be all alone, feeling lonely throughout the night when I want to be with you. He then said that the whole thing was a mistake. A mistake? I asked him. A mistake. The first pregnancy, my dear, was a mistake. The second one, he knew, and you knew what you were doing. I complained. I even told him that I was not on any family planning medication, but he kept on doing me. I then said, don't you think that it is so much better that since your wife already knows me, she did not fight with me, she has understood me and has accepted me, why don't you just plan a meeting for the three of us so that we can sit down and discuss our future together? If you really love me, like you claim to love me, you will tell your wife that you love me. Then we can live together. We can make an arrangement. So I said, but the man was stubborn. He said, no, I cannot do that. 2 wives that I cannot do. And then I said, what is the difference, dear? You already have 2 wives. How much are you paying for my rent? This is a 2-bedroomed apartment that is very expensive. You are paying for my kids' school fees, the ones that I had from my previous marriages. You are taking care of my mom as well as taking care of me. You give me more money on top of my salary, even if I do not go to work on a daily basis. You do sleep with me whenever you want to, and now I am carrying your second child. Is this not the meaning of being someone's wife? I am tired of being your girlfriend. He kept on beating around the bush. He did not want to have 2 wives, yet he wanted to have a girlfriend. And then he said, you know what? Let me go back to my wife. And I said, fine, this one, I am going to sort him out. So this man, he started gossiping around. He started causing a lot of infighting between me and his wife. Me and the wife, we had no problem. She would call me asking me if I was okay, because the pregnancy was always making me sick. She even said that it was far much better now that she knew that there was someone else, rather than to sleep crying, not knowing where her husband was sleeping at. But when he would go to his wife, he would say, that one, she's just a prostitute. She is forcing me, blackmailing me. I never wanted to sleep with her. I just made a mistake, and now she is punishing me for my mistakes. She is saying that she wants a lot of money, in which I cannot give her. When you will come to me, you will tell me bad stuff, all the bad stuff that the wife was saying about me, saying that My wife, you should hear my wife, the way that she accuses you. My wife was saying that you are a cheap prostitute. Even my wife told me that when she goes to Malawi, because she had her uncle staying in Malawi, she wants to kill you. That is the reason why I am telling you, I don't want her to kill you. And I thought that this man was for real. Then we started to fight. Me and my husband's wife, we fought so hard. She would come to work and cause so much commotion, so much that I said, this thing that is happening in front of the clients, it is not okay. I stopped going to work altogether since I had been threatened. And since I now knew that when she would get the chance to travel to Malawi, she was going to bewitch me, being assisted by her uncle who was in Malawi, so that I can die, I said, it is far much better for me to take a preemptive strike. And then I went to a traditional healer with the intentions to kill, and to kill only. I spoke with a traditional healer and I was told exactly what I was supposed to do. That when my husband would come to visit me, I had to take one of his underwears, the one that he would have came to my house wearing. I would say, let me wash it, pretend as if I would have washed it already. I had bought a pair of new underwears, the ones that he was supposed to wear when he would be returning back to his wife's house. As for the dirty one, I was not supposed to wash it at all. I had bought 3 needles, and I had to take those 3 needles after folding his dirty underwear. Then I had to pin those needles onto the underwear and leave everything like that. There was a small clay plate that had been given to me that I was supposed to put underneath the bed. This I was supposed to do for 3 days. Just after the sun would have gone down, when it will be dark, I was supposed to take it outside. Obviously, I would place it where the kids would not touch or play with it. Then I would wait maybe for 2 or 3 hours, usually around 10. That is when I would go, and then I would take the clay plate and I would notice that each and every day one needle will be missing, until all of them on the 3rd day they had gone missing. The very following week, my boss's wife, she was traveling from Harare going to Mutoko. She was all alone in her vehicle. Then she passed away in an accident. She had an head-on collision. What happened during that accident? It was something that was scary and terrifying. It was a freak of an accident. So when she had that collision, then there were 3 metallic bars that came from the engine and stabbed her directly into her chest. She died on the spot. That was when I remembered that, oh, it was those 3 needles. That is what killed her. She passed away. She was buried. I gave my husband some time to mourn for his wife, since I was pregnant at the time, so I needed some space as well, and I gave birth soon after she had been buried. He was happy. He moved in with me, and then we got married, and now I am staying with him at the house where he used to stay with his wife. If that was the end of the story, maybe at least people would not judge me that much. But there is more to come. Brother Nashi, what happened? This is what happened. I really messed up big time. So she had 3 kids, 2 daughters and 1 boy. Remember that there was a big fight, a grudge between me and their late mother at that time. I could not forgive them because of what had happened whilst their mother was still alive. In that moment, it did not matter that my husband was the one who had caused me to hate their mother, to kill their mother. It was all about the infighting that was happening. The families got involved, and you know, when families get involved, my family against her family, they were fighting now. This made me to hate her kids even more. My husband, I knew that I had to please him to accept these kids, even though I did not love them, to pretend as if I cared for them. I knew that he loved his kids, and what did I do? I then started using charms on them. And as for my husband's son, I don't know how many times he has been in and out of prison. The reason as to why I have let this happen to him. He is a boy. I do not want him to compete with my own boys. By this I mean all of the kids, even the ones that I brought with from my own marriage. They are going to get a share from my husband's company if it ever happens that my husband dies, because they're all my kids. I returned back to that traditional healer, who then told me that I had to find someone who could make a small cage for me, in which I did. And then what I did was that I spoke with this other man who does welding, and I told him that I just wanted a small cage, not very heavy. He asked me what was it for. I said that I had to catch bird. He said, oh, okay. Then he made that small cage for me. I was then instructed that I needed to make a doll out of an idol out of clay soil representing my stepson. I then went around and I gathered the clay soil and I made that idol. After I had showed this doll to the traditional healer, he said, no, you have done it so wrong. And he said, you know what, you have used the wrong clay soil as well. He then said, it is fine, I am going to make one for you. He then made a clay doll for me. He put it in fire and then he dried it up. He placed some beads around the waist and then he tied the hands. The way that he made it, it was as if this doll was a prisoner. And then he tied this doll with the beads that were so small, and then he placed that doll inside that cage. After that, that was when he said, do you still have that photocopy of your stepson's picture? I then gave it to him and he took a needle and he pinned the photo of my stepson onto that clay doll. After that, he placed it inside that cage. So this was the representation of him always going to prison. On top of that, we then took a red cloth and covered that cage, and I have this cage at my house. So what I did is that at my house we used to have this old JoJo tank, so we don't use it anymore. I instructed my garden boy to cut it open just a little bit so that I can place that cage inside that old JoJo tank. I am sure that it is very safe. No one will ever find out that there is something in there. So my husband even said once, you know, this old JoJo tank thing, it is going to be a place where snakes will be staying. Let us throw it away. I said, no. I have other plans that I have for this JoJo tank. I will tell you in time. So now we have since packed it in the corner, me and the garden boy. I told the gardener to help me and he cleared part of the yard where no one goes there, in the corner far away from where my husband used to complain. So that is where this old JoJo tank is, and inside there is the cage. So my husband's son, that is the life that he lives. He goes into prison, he gets arrested, he gets out of prison, he gets arrested again, he gets out of prison, because of those rituals that we did for him. And as for the girls, the elder one, she is quite difficult for me because I could not bewitch her, and she's now staying with her husband since she was already old. When I started mistreating them, she then ran away. The reason why I can't bewitch her, I never got that chance to stay like permanently with her. So for me to bewitch her, it is very difficult. But the youngest one, that one, I stayed with her for a very long time. You know what she is doing right now? Moving as fast like a Wi-Fi, moving from one man to another. She already has a child with another man, and she has a baby that is coming on the way. And I pretend to guide her, to pretend like I am the loving mother. The last time I sat down with her, in my heart I was laughing as I sat down with her and I said, who is the father of this child now? She said she does not know because she was sleeping with 4 men at the same time. So this one, since I am staying with her, it was quite easy for me to bewitch her. What did I do? I used something that is very dangerous. You know, there is nothing that is as dangerous as a used sanitary pad and a woman's panty that is full of her menstrual blood. The healer told me that each and every time that I was on my period, sometimes I was supposed to wear an underwear if I was not going anywhere, not with any sanitary pad at all, just the underwear, and let the blood go on the underwear. After that, she was young, she could not understand anything. I would threaten to beat her if she would refuse to wash my dirty underwears, and this was me giving her bad luck. So I would even take your own underwears. I have this other small bucket. Throughout the night, I'll keep on throwing the used sanitary pad and the dirty underwears on top of her own underwears, and then I'll say, wash everything. So this is how I gave her bad luck. That is how I bewitched my husband's kids, my stepdaughters and my stepson. As for the eldest one, it is very difficult, even though here and there when I bewitch her, she does fight with her husband, but they cannot get divorced because I can't touch her completely. I do try to curse her, but not that much. So my advice to other men out there, when you have decided to get another woman pregnant, make sure you know that as a woman, she would want to be yours as well, because she'll see you as her own husband. And if these two women, your wife and the girlfriend, if they start to talk together, to communicate, to not get involved, stay away from them. Let them have their conversations without you getting involved, because all that you will do is to make them hate each other. And when women hate each other, witchcraft will follow. This is my own confession. I know that there are people out there that are going to judge me, but hey, it happens in life. Dear listeners, right there was a message sent to me by one of our listener, and that was the translation, hoping that you were able to understand this translation. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.